You have to unlearn and relearn everything. Everything. And it's an uncomfortable process because this is shit that has been pounded into us since we were children, since we were babies even. But it's necessary. You have to do this. And when you unlearn everything and you begin the relearning part, you can't just go off of information that someone is telling you. You know, you have to do your own independent research. You have to get research from different sources, credible sources, even sources that may exist outside of the country. You know, like you have to be able to find these resources, and you have to have multiple resources backing what you're learning in order to feel like it is the right thing. You know, so, and when I say unlearn everything, I want you to unlearn everything. And I want you to question everything. Why were we taught this way? You know, like, why were we taught this way in school? Not even about that. Start at the very beginning. Why is school set up the way it is? K through 12. Going for 6 to 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Why is school set up that way? Why do the classrooms all look a very similar way? Why are they all built and have a lot of the same colors? And why does it all look the same? Why does the majority of the entire country follow that school schedule for public education? Charter school is public education. It's not any different or better. But why is that? You have to figure out why. Like, where are they getting the curriculum from for these institutions? Like, where is this curriculum coming from? What textbooks are they using? Who wrote these books? Is it up-to-date information? When was the last time the curriculum was updated? You know, and that's just starting at school. And you could go on and on and on about our public education system. That's just a tip of the fucking iceberg, right? Then you can look at work. Why is it 9 to 5? Monday through Friday. Most jobs, even if they're not 9 to 5, they're the majority of the day. Why is it 8 hours? Why is it 40 hours a week for a standard work week? Why is society set up to not cater to families? But then they are complaining about a low birth rate. You know, God forbid you're a single parent out here. But why is shit set up the way it's set up? Why is DSS set up the way it is? Why is CPS set up the way it is? Why does it seem like a lot of kids get taken from homes that probably shouldn't? You know, and a lot of bad things happen in CPS custody. You have to question everything. Why do they make it so difficult to buy a home? Why do we have credit? No other developed country in the world has a fucking credit system. Not like this. No one has credit. Why do we? You know? Why the fuck do we have a credit score tied to us and attached to us? Think about that. And then the history that we've been involved in, like with our country and the wars that we have fought in, you know, and the presidents that have been in office. You just really have to think about every fucking thing. And I want you to break it down. And it is very uncomfortable and very painful, especially if you grew up in like a very religious household or a very structured household, you know? Even if you grew up in a traumatic household, it can still be challenging to unlearn everything. But you have to start questioning. And not only just question, but actually go find the answer. You have to go find the answer, and you have to dig. You gotta dig. Go through the layers. This is how you learn. That's part of relearning as well. But you have to make the questions to unlearn everything that you have seen. And then when you get to like these huge pictures and outlooks, you're like, what the fuck? And you begin to see where the dots are connecting. Why is this set up like this? Oh, I remember reading about that. You know, so it's very important to unlearn and relearn everything because they lie to us about a lot of shit. Maybe not everything, but they lie to us about a lot of shit. So you have to get in there. You have to do the work. You have to. Don't rely on someone to do it for you. Because why do you want to believe what someone else believes? Just because they sound smart? Do you know what their values are? Their morals? Do you know what your values and morals are outside of religion? Outside of family? Like, what are your morals? What are your values? You know? So, and in the unlearning process, you actually learn who the fuck you are as a person. Because a lot of us just carry titles our entire lives. You just carry the title. You don't even know who you are. I'm a mom. I'm a nurse. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a homeowner. I'm a single mom. I should have said that. I'm a woman. I'm mixed. Like, we are constantly having titles drilled into us. But who are you when all those titles are stripped away? And that's the question that this will hopefully be able to help you answer. You know, you have to be able to know who you are. Even outside of religion. Because I think a lot of people use religion as a scapegoat. As something to lean on. As a crutch. Because it's easy to say that you believe in something, but you don't live like you do. And I'm a very black and white person, obviously. I'm very black and white. But it does not make sense for me to straddle the fence on anything. I just don't understand when people straddle the fence. Because if you are a believer and a follower of a certain religion, why are you sinning every day? Or how are you doing the same sin over and over? Even the most fundamental part of how you live is a sin. But you do it daily. But you're a Christian. That makes no sense. At that point, you might as well just be a Catholic and do your fucking Hail Marys. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't see hardly anyone living as a true follower of the religion that they swear they believe in. That's disheartening. But yeah, with the unlearning part, it will strip away the layers. You strip away the layers of society, of education, you get into how the privatized prisons, you know, and then you get into private education and you see how different that is. The family structure, you look into slavery, you look into banking, you look into every fucking thing. Everything. And one thing will lead right into the other. Like, you won't really have to, you just need like one good question. And you keep digging. And everything will keep leading into everything else. Like these families that fucking control everything. And have been for centuries. You know? But, yeah, you really do. You gotta do the work. And that is unlearning and relearning. And then when you're relearning, after you've stripped through the layers, you've realized who you are as a person, outside of all the titles you carry, you know, you figure out who you are, and you begin to relearn. Because, of course, you've been reading, you've been digging, you've been finding knowledge and truth. So, it's easier to relearn shit. You're like, well, that don't make sense. You read some more, well, this is what makes sense. This is really the right way. Or this is really what we should be doing. You know, it makes a lot more sense. It opens your eyes up. It opens your perspective up. And then you start seeing why people live the way they do. Why they make the choices they make. Your pattern recognition skills get really fucking sharp. You know, you start noticing everything. You think you notice shit now? No. It'll be 10 times better, more accurate once you go through this process. It really will. And it will also make it easier for you to go through the process of life, because usually when someone goes through unlearning and relearning, they start a business or they start investing because they begin to see why shit is the way it fucking is. So when you see that and your eyes are truly open to that, and you know that moving forward, it's impossible for you to continue living the way you were living. So you begin to make huge changes. Even if it's little by little, you begin to make changes in your life, your lifestyle, and your money. So you want to have more ownership in your money, or how much you bring in. You want to have more of a say-so and more control over it. So naturally, most people become entrepreneurs that go through the unlearning and relearning process. If they don't become entrepreneurs, because there's really good fucking jobs out there, you know? There's jobs that start out in mid-6 figures. So you got a job like that, don't leave it. I wouldn't recommend it, because there are some really good fucking jobs out there. But they start investing. They start generating revenue on the side outside of their job. Because even if most people, we can't leave our jobs just because you want to start a business, right? So they end up creating additional revenue, another revenue source separate from their job. Some keep their job, some don't. But that's part of the process, because you begin to see things differently. And that's a beautiful thing too. So that's why why most people that go through this end up being entrepreneurs or generating another source of revenue outside of their job. You learn what it is to be free. What does being sovereign really mean? You know, like, what does that mean? Because your definition might be different from mine. And that's okay. But you have to figure out what that means to you. Yeah, the relearning process also can be uncomfortable, because again, you are making all those changes. But once you keep on, it gets easier and easier and easier. You start making more money. You start being more free, because you have more time freedom. You know, so it's a beautiful thing. And then you just keep leveling up as time goes on. But yes, you have to unlearn and relearn, or you're going to stay stuck forever. The fucking loop. It's like a hamster wheel. You're the fucking hamster. Are you not tired? Are you not panting? Are you not sick and tired of it? It's so monotonous. It's so monotonous. But yeah, that's all I got. Just wanted to share that with you. I love you. Bye.